Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep, or should I say steeping ourselves, in the science of tea and its really fascinating connection to weight management. You see this claim everywhere, right? On health blogs, on the tea box itself. But can your daily cup of tea actually help you burn fat? Well, we're going to dig into the research and see what it really says. So here's what's on the menu. We're going to look at green tea, black tea, oolong, matcha, and even pu'er tea. We'll break down what makes each of them special and how they might kickstart your metabolism.
All right, first things first, the power of polyphenols. If we want to understand how tea does what it does, we've got to look at its secret weapons. So let's get into the nitty-gritty chemistry that makes tea such a powerhouse for your metabolism.
Okay, so the story really starts with these amazing plant compounds called polyphenols. Now in tea, the most important ones are called catechins, and the absolute superstar of that group is a little something called ECG. You'll hear that name a lot. It's the molecule that gets pretty much all the credit for tea's health benefits. But here's the thing. These catechins, they don't go it alone. Nope, they've got a critical partner in crime, caffeine. And when you put these two together, well, that's when the real magic happens. Their effects are just hugely amplified. Just how amplified, you ask? Well, studies show that this dynamic duo can crank up fat oxidation by a whopping 20% over a 24-hour period. And that's compared to just having caffeine by itself. I mean, that is a serious boost. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. For a long time, everyone thought green tea was kind of the undisputed champion, right? But it turns out that's not the whole story. Different teas actually take completely different paths to get to a very similar result. So check this out. You've got two main routes. With green tea, its polyphenols are small, so they take the direct route. They get absorbed right into your bloodstream and head straight for the liver. But black tea, its polyphenols are much bigger. They can't do that, so they take what we're calling the gut route. They travel all the way to your large intestine, where they basically become food for your good gut bacteria. And those bacteria, in turn, create compounds that help your metabolism. How cool is that? Two totally different strategies, but they're both aiming for the same thing. You know, this discovery about the gut microbiome is a total game changer, especially for black tea. It means, just as Dr. Xiaoping Li from UCLA said, that black tea isn't just some weaker cousin to green tea. No way. It's a powerhouse in its own right, just working through a completely different and super important system in your body. All right, so the theory is fascinating, but what about the proof? What happens when we actually put these teas to the test in clinical studies? Let's take a look at the hard evidence. So green tea basically launches this incredible multi-pronged attack on fat. Its catechins, often just called GTCs, they get involved at nearly every single stage. They can mess with digestive enzymes in your stomach, they can help block fat from being absorbed in your intestines, and they can even change how fat is handled and stored in your liver and your fat cells. It's really working from all angles. And then there's matcha. This stuff is on another level. See, with matcha, you're consuming the entire powdered leaf. That means you get a super concentrated blast of those powerful catechins. We're talking at least 3 times more ECGC than you'd get from a regular cup of green tea. And yeah, this shows up in the results. One study found that women who drank matcha burned significantly more fat during a simple 30-minute brisk walk. Oolong tea is another heavy hitter. It's kind of unique because it's partially fermented, so it sits right in between green and black tea. And the effects are really impressive. One major study found that men drinking full-strength oolong cranked up their fat burning by 12% compared to when they just drank water. And it gets even better. A more recent study not only confirmed oolong's power, finding it boosted fat oxidation by around 20%, but it also discovered something pretty amazing. The effect was actually strongest while people were sleeping. That's right, the tea's fat-burning effects kept working even when the participants were just resting. Last but not least, we've got pu'er tea. This is a really unique post-fermented tea from China. And check this out. A 20-week study on people who had high cholesterol found some incredible results. The folks drinking pu'er tea had significant weight loss. They lost noticeable body fat in their arms and hips, and their lipid profile, basically the fat in their blood, got better. And the wildest part? This was all without them having to make any other changes to their diet. Pretty impressive. Okay, so we've just covered a ton of science, right? We've talked polyphenols, gut bacteria, clinical trials, the whole shebang. So let's bring it all home. What does this actually mean for you? Look, the biggest takeaway here is pretty simple.
Tea is not some magic weight loss potion. It just isn't. But the science is absolutely clear. It can be a really powerful ally, a real supporter for your metabolism by giving your body's natural fat-burning processes a nice little boost.
So let's just quickly run through the main points one more time. We've learned that both green and black tea are great for metabolism. They just use fascinatingly different pathways to get there. We've seen that specific teas like matcha, oolong, and pu'er have some really promising studies behind them. We know that the real secret sauce is that team up between polyphenols and caffeine. And of course, all of this works best when it's part of an overall healthy lifestyle. And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? If something as simple as a cup of tea can influence our bodies on such a deep, complex level, we're talking molecules and microbes here. It just makes you wonder, what other incredible secrets are hiding in the foods and drinks we have every single day? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.